Hi and what's up? My name is Adam, and you are on Cyber Raccoon channel. Today I keep talking about new and updating online games. Please watch the video to the end, subscribe our channel, and you will always be aware of what to play today. Call of Duty Warzone Plunder. Like Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone is a free-to-play battle royale. And just like the game suddenly hit the scene and caught the attention of millions of players around the world. But, unlike Legends, Warzone has a long history behind it, and therefore it quickly managed to set a record in terms of online. 6 million gamers in the first day. From the gameplay, a lot is already familiar to you if you have played Battle Royale. The teams land in a large area that represents the devastated city of Verdansk and try to survive by killing other teams and avoiding contact with the gas cloud. Among the features, various bonuses, UAV, point airstrike, the Gulag system, a duel between two eliminated players, which determines who will return to the battlefield after death. In Warzone, players are invited to face each other in several modes. In addition to the standard Battle Royale, there is a Plunder mode, which assumes that teams must earn the maximum amount of money in a limited time. Tannenberg, a multiplayer shooter about the First World War. The battles unfold on a giant map between 64 users who will fight for key sectors of the battlefield. The following parties are represented: Germany, Russian Empire, Allies. Tannenberg, like other realistic online shooters, has a lot of features, an abundance of weapons, a competent tactical component, 6 maps, and several modes. Don't worry if your friends can't keep up. The game has an advanced AI that fills up the empty seats in the session. With CRSED, F.O.A.D, formerly known as Cuisine Royale, the gaming community met back in 2018. It was a kind of PUBG answer, but free and with great humor. At the end of 2019, the game reached a full-fledged release. Players will face off in a bloody survival battle royale, but not everything is so dark. Almost every element of the gameplay brings a smile. These are improvised items that can be used as armor, a saucepan, a frying pan, and so on, and demonic forces, thanks to which you can trap opponents or teleport away from a hotspot. Lineage 2 Essence. Essence is the free version of the immortal legend that debuted in spring 2019. It includes all the best from Lineage 2, a classic setting, a familiar universe, vivid PvP battles. The main differences are fast pumping, you can grow to level 20 in 1 hour auto battles, more PvP activities, self-sufficient characters, you can play solo, not just in a group, and much more. Obviously, all the features will only be appreciated by gamers who are already familiar with Lineage 2, but if you want to touch the classics for the first time, Essence provides a great opportunity for this. Mount and Blade 2, Bannerlord. One of the long-term construction of the gaming industry. The game was announced back in 2012, but only reached the computers of gamers in 2020, and then in the form of early access. Like the original, Bannerlord invites gamers to feel like real lords in the Middle Ages, who have to rise from rags to riches and become the founder of their own kingdom. To do this, you need to recruit an army and personally take part in fierce battles and sieges of castles. According to the developers, Bannerlord has several multiplayer modes. These are the familiar sieges, and the new battles of captains, skirmishes, and siege. Gamers will also be able to join forces and form alliances. Conqueror's Blade is an interesting mix of RTS and third-person action. This means that you can play both the role of an experienced commander with a cold head and a warrior with a warm heart, who himself is torn on the battlefield, driven by a thirst for justice and blood. Considering that developers from the Middle Kingdom are working on the game, the setting of ancient China is quite logical. The main features of the game are large-scale dynamic battles and the absence of boring fantasy. Players will get completely believable medieval battles without any elves and dragons, with a Chinese flavor. Magic: The Gathering Arena. Collectible card games in MMO format are gaining popularity. It is even surprising that for a long time the brand that started the history of CCG as such was not represented in this market. Only in September 2019, Magic: The Gathering Arena was released, offering MTG lovers to participate in online battles without spending a lot of money on card sets. and ordinary gamers to once again touch the legend. With the updates, the developers promise to make available all the cards ever released in the MTG series for its entire existence, more than 25 years. The battles take place both in the form of usual duels and in the format of tournaments, and some of them will have a real prize fund. However, you will also have to pay for participation in them with real money. Since March 2019, this dynamic anime-themed action game has been in early access, but it's too early to talk about a full-fledged release. But it is already clear that the project has great potential because, unlike most online action games, it is focused on joint passage together, and the example of Payday and Left 4 Dead shows that the future belongs to cooperative action games. In the release of the game, we are promised an interesting plot, a huge number of character customization options, a wide selection of weapons, many PvP and modes, and a large selection of combos. Mortal Kombat 11. The huge success of Mortal Kombat X could be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, NetherRealm Studios got a lot of money and great motivation to make a sequel. On the other hand, they do not seek from goodness. Therefore, MK11 is inherently not too different from MKX. It's still the same 2.5D fighting game, almost the same characters. Of course, new ones have been added, but who will be interested in them when there is Scorpio, Sub-Zero, Sonya Blade, and Baraka, a redesigned equipment system, and the long-awaited return of Fatality and Brutality. Since the name of the game no longer contains the letter X, the X-ray technique was also reworked, which is now called Fatal Blow. It works in much the same way, and yes, don't forget about the multiplayer modes. World War Z. In this game based on the famous movie, the Saber Interactive Studio showed us something in between Left 4 Dead and Serious Sam, because the number of enemies on the map can range from a few to thousands. Zombies here, as it should be, get lost in crowds and try to devour our heroes, so you have to shoot them from anything, build improvised traps, make your way with explosives, and run very, very fast across the map. Another interesting feature of the game are characters that are unique for each of the levels, each of which has its own set of skills and its own character. Tom Clancy's The Division 2. The long-awaited sequel to the post-apocalyptic RPG shooter was released on March 15, 2019. In it, Ubisoft did exactly what was expected of it. It retained the basic gameplay and atmosphere of the original, adding new content and a couple of fresh chips. Now, instead of dilapidated New York, our sleeping agents will try to save the very heart of the United States, metropolitan Washington, from raging marauders. As in the original, an interesting storyline campaign awaits us, which can be played both solo and in co-op with friends, as well as a PvP mode in the form of Dark Zones, where you can get hold of good gear. The main innovations of the sequel are raids, in which up to 8 players can take part, redesigned skills, extended endgame content, and a full-fledged class system, unlocked after reaching level 30 and passing the main campaign. For now, you can choose to become a sniper, a survival specialist, or a sapper, but most likely, new opportunities will appear in subsequent updates. Outlaws of the Old West. 2019 was remembered not only for the dominance of battle royals, but also for the gradual revival of interest in the theme of the Wild West. Whether the long-awaited Red Dead Redemption 2 is to blame, new westerns from Tarantino, or just the pendulum of public interest has once again swung, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that cowboys, Indians, saloons, and cacti suddenly became popular again among gamers. Known for work on ARK, the studio Virtual Basement LLC decided to play on this, so on March 12, 2019, Outlaws of the Old West, a hardcore survival sandbox set in the Wild West setting, went into early access. In it, we are offered, as usual, to get food, craft tools, build a house, tame a horse, get a weapon and go in search of adventure, or acquire a farm and lead a peaceful life as a merchant. They promise to make the karma system a feature of the game, when special NPS and other players begin to hunt for especially notorious villains, which will be encouraged by the reward system. Crowfall. The developers of Crowfall promise us an interesting hybrid of the familiar MMORPG and session game. The main entertainment was the events of the campaigns in the temporary worlds, each of which lives by its own rules. At the same time, there will be permanent worlds in the game. However, The main ones in them will not be the developers, but the players themselves. Also, players are offered a wide selection of classes and a pumping system that is non-standard for the genre. Skills will improve as they are used, as, for example, in the Elder Scrolls. The developers also promise to implement a system of advantages and disadvantages. The advantages will give bonuses to certain skills, which is quite logical. But the disadvantages will not only worsen some abilities, but will also give points in return that can be used for improvements. Valorant, a tactical shooter from Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends. Events unfold in the future, and the key feature of the game is the presence of unique abilities among the fighters. In terms of gameplay, Valorant is similar to a mixture of Counter-Strike and Overwatch. That is, the emphasis is on shooting, but you can use magic. In the main mode, battles unfold between two teams of 5 people. The duration of the match is 24 rounds, minimum 12. Valorant, originally called Project A, is one of several major new releases from Riot Games. Project T, fighting game, and Project F, MMO, are also expected in the League of Legends universe. Dual Universe. Science fiction writers have been writing about the events on which the plot of this MMO sandbox is based for a long time. The apocalypse has finally arrived, destroyed not only the Earth, but the entire solar system. Parts of humanity managed to escape. Now they are flying in their space arcs in search of places suitable for life. On one of the unexplored planets, the player will have to be. The newly minted colonist will have to develop the skills necessary to survive and build a new civilization. And practically anything can be built and invented, from agricultural tools to spaceships. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today. To be continued.